So I am reviewing the Kano kit, but this time I actually have one as opposed to just their operating system. So I'm reviewing this again because they have sold through their Kickstarter 18,000 units. So it's quite a considerable project in the Raspberry Pi kind of ecosystem and community. Where they differ massively from what the Raspberry Pi Foundation do is that they've created quite an expensive package, which is £100 to buy and about £15 for shipping. And they have created a complete experience with the Pi. Now, with the standard Pi, when you plug it in, you kind of have to figure out and learn everything you do, and that requires a good teacher or a good parent that can assist that child in that learning experience. What this does, which is different, is it means that when you plug everything in, from the moment you turn it on, the device starts interacting with you. The actual software and the combination of the plug and play hardware means that the experience from start to finish is guided through. When I first got this, I wasn't a massive fan of it. The strange thing is, after spending a bit of time with it, I found that it's probably the first Raspberry Pi I'm going to send my 10-year-old nephew. And the reason is because I think that his parents aren't going to be necessarily interested, his school's not necessarily doing anything at the moment, and I think he'll probably use it for the first time. If I sent him a normal Pi, I'm worried that without me there helping him, guiding him, he probably wouldn't do a lot with it. But with this, I think he will. I think he'll go on there, he'll play Minecraft, he'll play Snake, he'll play Google Blocky and all that sort of stuff, and he'll play with it. And my hope is that he'll engage enough with it that I can actually step in and teach him beyond that. But the problem with the product is that it falls short of actually teaching computing. And the way it falls short is that everything it does is quite gamey, and it's a bit like trying to teach computing but by simplifying it too much. So it's kind of like trying to teach somebody how to play the guitar with Guitar Hero and never actually giving them a real guitar. The concept they've created by creating avatar characters and by creating achievements like Xbox Live that actually give kids stickers and things to achieve towards is fantastic, but the technical complexities of the tasks themselves fall massively short of actually teaching anything valuable of computing needs. If they could expand on that and actually lead the children into more complex computing things, I think it would have some merit. So here is the Kano computer kit. They have this lovely sort of sleeve that goes over the box. You can see the little character there, that's their sort of main avatar guy. The box is really well made, really well constructed, feels nice and heavy and like you've actually bought a quality product. Got that magnetic flap on the front, and you get everything in here that you would think that you would have. The case is pretty standard. It's just a piece of plastic acrylic. Slot your Pi in. It actually feels pretty sturdy. It's not flimsy and it's not going to fall out. Get a case, a lid that comes with it, but I don't think anyone would actually bother using that because what you do get with it is probably one of the cleverest things they've done, which is this speaker that goes on top. It took me a little bit of time to figure it out because I didn't read the manual, but you actually plug it into the GPIO and that is what gives it its voltage, and then once you've plugged that in, you just feed the microphone, so the speaker jack through the top of the cable and then just into the side there, which is really quite clever. Then onto the keyboard. So going to spend a bit of time talking about the keyboard later. In the keyboard is the little white Bluetooth dongle which you can just take out the back of the keyboard, and the green socket here is for the Wi-Fi. And on the back of your keyboard you have this cable which charges up your wireless keyboard. And at the back you have two different types of manuals. On the right hand side you have the Getting Started manual, which is how to build a computer. And it's written really, really well. It's obviously aimed at quite a young age range. Not a lot of text on each page. It's about 50 pages long, which is quite a lot really for just like, put Pi in case, put lid on top, plug HDMI cable into here. But I guess, for kids it's probably really good. You get a couple of things that you can fit underneath the lid if you don't use the speaker. And then here is a book that sort of guides you through how to do each of the tasks, things like play Pong and Sonic Pi and all that sort of stuff, which is useful. And if you complete some of those tasks, you get some real world stickers, and as stickers go, they're pretty good quality. They're nice matte finish on top, so that's nice. And it's a nice little touch.
And one thing I did want to note was actually putting all of this back together into the box is probably something that parents are going to want. They're going to want it so that once their kids finish with something, it doesn't get strewn across the house. So they're going to want everything to go nicely back into the box. But unless you dismantle the pie and take it out of the case, you can't actually fit it in, which for me is a bit of a shame, because you know that's something you have to do every single time you want to use the thing. Anyway, let's boot it up, and what we get is this kind of Matrix style welcome screen, splash screen, and then again the little Kano character. Now once we've done that, this is where it really comes into its own, and this really clever way that it talks to you. You know, I am Kano, thanks for bringing me to life, what is your name? And then when you type your name in, what it does is it creates a Linux user in the background, which is really quite clever. This is what I would love to see a lot more of. But anyway, to get started, you press the button on the back there, get an OK light, and basically that's how you connect up the keyboard. Now, talking about the keyboard, this is their intellectual property, meaning they designed it. Now, as a 30-year-old bloke, this keyboard is just absolutely tiny. You can see my hands just engulf it. And it's just far too small, and as a result I found I've just spent most of my time mashing the keyboard. Now for their target audience for about 7 to 11, I'm sure it's perfectly fine, but for me it was a bit too small. Anyway, once you type your name in, this rabbit runs across the screen. It says, follow the white rabbit, he's hiding in my memory, do you want to find him? And then it says CD rabbit hole, and basically you're looking for that rabbit. And this is where you actually, again, you're learning a bit of Linux. You're actually making somebody do something which they could, you know, build on and grow on, and actually tell, you know, the users what that does. You see, the first time I got that wrong, because it really is quite a fiddly keyboard. It's very plasticky, and it can't replace a good quality sort of, you know, Microsoft or Cherry keyboard or whatever. It's nothing like that at all. Anyway, once you've done that, rabbit runs across the screen, and then it says type start X to go into Linux, and then what you have, into the GUI, and then you have this wizard which I've sped up, which basically teaches you how to use the keyboard, which could be great, I'm sure, for kids. I'm sure most of us adults could figure it out, but we're not their target audience, so that's not a problem. And then once we've done that, it will continue the wizard to help set up, and it will ask us to type in our wireless key, and then it's going to have a big update for about 15 minutes, and then once that's done we can get on with using the OS properly.
So in short, I think it's very expensive, and I wouldn't have bought one myself, and I wouldn't have bought one for a family member. As I've got one, I think it is something that my nephew will enjoy, and I'm hoping that he'll get hooked on it, and I can push him into that real computing world that I want him to be engaged in, making websites, learning how to program with Python properly, and really interacting with the external world. I think the speaker on top is brilliant, and I think that the way they've done the interactive wizard as you start is fantastic. I just think it needs to be more related to computing. So I'm still incredibly conflicted, and I'm going to give this to my nephew and see what he thinks of it. Please leave your messages in the comments field below, and that would be great. And thanks for watching.